going to go, I've changed the sheets a little bit because to fit a little bit more, like when you first do something, you play with it more. So at the top, I've got the current issue, and then defining the echo, and I've put on here all issues are echoes. So the second part, which is defining the echo, is really defining the issue. I'm just calling it two different things. And then we're going to look at possible body systems. Of course, if somebody presents like a body issue, you would put that down here, you know what I mean, and build upon that. And then we're going to look at possible limiting I ams and I can'ts to diet. We're going to kind of bring in that concept and other observations. And of course, you have the other two sheets back there. The one that Jim pointed out last week that I'd forgotten was the one that has like the little bitty thing like that's up here. So all of us,
The virus.
a virus.
What it looks like.
Yeah. So all of us have these little viral programs in us. Ooh, I totally hope that was still on. I think that's still getting the same area. You ever notice like preachers will talk like that, and the Lord said, and what's interesting is they talk about that particular languaging in Harry Potter. The slither language, which is actually you're using that to hypnotize people. So if you go to a hypnotist, they use that same slow talking. And I kick into it whenever I'm in that mind, I'm trying to like talking to people. I kind of kick into that language too. And so I always thought that was interesting.
Praise.
Yeah, but they say they kind of elongate a few things, and that like slithers, you're hypnotizing your audience. So let's.
My uncle's a preacher, and he would always, when he's
Say
really
it.
trying to convince you what a sinner you are, really go into that.
That mode. Because you automatically do it. You kind of go into the hypnotic thing. Like if I'm doing a meditative tape, I go into that thing and I catch myself like saying things, because it is a little bit of a hypnotic thing. Anyway, that wasn't what I want to go over.
From the Jungle Book does that.
Yeah.
What?
Really?
Oh, yeah, with the hypnotic eyes. Yeah.
Right.
Perfect. I love that. I love the cartoon. I forget that. I already did that last week. God, that's way small. Oh, well. Okay, well, I want to go over this, and I've got it up here on the board, and you may have to actually get up and look at the board because it's so small here, but we've got like the big issue here, and the example I use on this one is I am responsible, okay? And then that's like your big one. So we have a bunch of I am, so I'm trying to like limit it to the I am, and basically the I am is perfect. The I am is perfect because reality, is we hear this concept all the time that everybody's perfect, right? So if we're all perfect, why do we have certain issues coming up? It's because the I am is perfect, but we've altered that or sinned against the I am by putting something on the I am that isn't anything related to the I am. So I am stupid. The I am is not stupid. So that's the sin. You're putting that false belief on the I am, which in essence is sinning against yourself and creation. Let me see if we can make this a little bit bigger. Not big enough, but maybe that'll help on the video. And from there, so I have on this one here, I'm responsible. And I have up here some other things to think about. Because I try to like take words. I try to take everything to the seed. So even like when you're looking at relationships, I'm looking at the energetic emotional response. So I'm responsible. There's two things that popped in my mind when I tapped into that, which I think if you can look at it in different ways, it makes it go deeper. So sometimes I'm responsible is deep enough for people, but another one that came to mind with that is I'm to blank. If you're responsible, what does that mean about you on some level? That's one way. That's the positive side of looking at it. But if we take on the negative I am, we tend to be looking at that from the negative perspective.
I mean, the have to?
Yeah. I have to is one. We're going to move into that. But what's another way of saying I'm responsible?
I'm to blame.
I'm to blame. That's what I'm looking for. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're I'm to blame, then basically that could drive you to be responsible for everybody else because you're trying to fix what you did wrong, right? And we can easily get that in childhood. I know I've had that one come up for myself. Or another one is it's my fault, right? So I like that. If you think about responsible, think about blaming and it's your fault. I think those things can lead us into being responsible. And from that one thing, just like this big on the computer screen here, you see this big thing, but then you have nodules coming off. So what I have off there is I have to do it all myself. So I'm responsible. I got to do it all myself. And then you've got things that come off there, like I'm tired. I am tired because that comes off. If you're doing everything, you're going to get tired. And then what comes off the tired is we can build up like another personality, like I'm a machine. So to offset the negative of I'm tired, you can like make it a challenge. You can make your whatever you're dealing with in life, you can make up a pseudo personality that helps you get a different perspective. Like in other words, I'm going through all this hell because I'm going to be rewarded in heaven. That type of thing. You know what I mean? So and bad thing about that is that I don't think that's true for one thing, and then that means you got to go through that, which is crazy but a lot of people have that, and religion has lots of little helpers in there too. Like, I'm suffering from this, and I'm actually going to go to heaven because I'm suffering from this. Yeah, beat myself. And then also another one I have to do all myself is I don't have time for myself. So imagine that these waves are out here, and I'm just kind of so. Here is your sphenoid, and that's your arc of electricity. It's the waves you're sending out. So you're sending waves out, and reality is full of these waves. Just to give it a structure, because it doesn't matter what you call it. But in quantum physics, you have the wave, and the wave can also be a particle. And as soon as you look at the wave, it becomes the particle that you want. So basically, what it's saying, which is really cool to me in quantum physics, is that everything is like this possible soup. It's infinitely possible soup. And however you look at something, that soup solidifies into how you expect it to look, which is crazy, right? That means it can be anything. So these waves that we're sending out in restriction, for example, I'm tired, putting this wave, and then this wave in the reality, backache, right? So as soon as your thought wave matches with like the thought wave, so these thought waves that go out, so these thought waves that we're sending out 24/7 meet up with like the cosmic waves of the field possibilities, since they're all waves, and they match. Then what happens? I just made this up here, but to me it kind of works the same way. There's a particle that's created from that, which that becomes your physical reality. So back pain really goes back to being tired because you have to do it all yourself because you're the responsible one and it's your fucking fault that you were born. That's the kind of stuff I want to look at. So I'm taking it all the way back. See what I'm saying? So we got physical issue all the way back to the core problem is, my father blamed me because I was born. That's deep if you can go all the way there and follow that pattern. Another thing I have out here is like love, support from others, renewed energy. But those would not match that, right? So you cannot have those things. Does that make sense? So in other words, there's anything out here that you want, but you have to match the frequency. Just like if I want to listen to 92.9 and I'm a radio, I've got to tune myself to that period, or it doesn't work, right? It's still floating out here. If you think about it, there's tons of different frequencies that are flying through us. I mean, literally through us, because waves can go through structure, right? I mean, I can go back there into all the, of course there's limitations if it's lead or something, but I don't want to add a lead in. But anyway, to a certain degree, you could be anywhere inside a building, in a basement, if you got a good enough antenna, and you pick up these things, which means those waves are going through everything. So right now, all the radio stations we have in town are flying through us. They're in this room, they're actually going through us, because really we're not as solid as we think we are. So there's that empty space that we're interacting with. So the waves that stop in our field are the ones that we match. And those fields are the ones that then solidify. So here we are, fuzzy, 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 fuzzy. Oh, it matches. Boom. Then it solidifies in me, and then I have the problem. Okay. If not, it goes right through me. And this makes me think about Jesus, who said, I don't know if he said this or it was referred to him, it's like he was transparent. So sin didn't stick to him because he had a certain mindset. And by having that certain mindset, you can forgive sin. And I believe all of us can do that. And if sin is actually error in perception, then if you can help somebody change their error in perception, you've actually helped them change the sin pattern, right? Like Jesus told Mary, go and sin no more. Sin is like stop changing your thoughts, and which actually lead to your actions. So if you have this limiting issue about wealth could be floating out of here right through you. I mean, it's like, here's this right here. It's just actually interacting with my body right now, all around me, but I've got a limiting idea. And the limiting thing is if you're bitching about not having money, good luck in getting that wave. You know what I mean? Because you don't resonate with it. If you're bitching about not having it, how can it match? So think about you in this space. So as waves are going through you all the time, what manifests into your physical body and into your reality, your work, your car, whatever, your relationship, is exactly what you match with. Another thing that came to me, so I'm just going to throw this all out at once because I don't have like a structured way, but the sphenoid bone, which is really awesome to me, this came to me, is that's the God's covenant, right? The Ark of the Covenant represents the covenant God made with man. And what's interesting, it's woven into our DNA so much that we actually manifest it. You know, in the physical reality, we have the Ark of the Covenant here. So we don't need a building, a pill, or a book to connect with and feel God. We've all got it in our DNA. We could be naked out in the wilderness and have that ability right there all the time. Okay? That's something I want you to get. The understanding awareness which comes from a strong aha of how and why you allowed or had your I am tainted is key in being able to release it completely. So another thing we're going to play with, which we did last week, is looking at how and why the circumstances that brought that to be. Because if you can understand that, then it helps you release it. And for me, since I've been playing with this, I became aware of an I am. And my I am is very, very similar to this. But I started tapping on it, and then I realized how I bought into it. And then what happened is I didn't have to tap on it, because I leapfrogged. If you can get a complete understanding of why it's there, what you accepted in, and it has to change though. This is the thing, is all of a sudden I realized, okay, this is the I am I have, and then I realized when I had that aha about how I accepted it in and that was false, as soon as I had that, I didn't have the pressure that I felt before. And it's kind of crazy, it's like this. What I noticed is, when we're fighting against reality, when we get pissed off at reality, what we're really fighting against is a limiting I am that we bought, and we're fighting against ourselves. So, for example, part of mine is I have to take care of everything. Okay? So what happens is I get angry because I'm having to take care of everything because I'm the fucking one that's projecting that. So I'm really fighting against, I'm fighting against the I am that got tainted. Some part of me knows that that's crap and that my life is not enjoyable because I bought into that, right? But as soon as I realized what was holding that in place and when I accepted it and the circumstances that kind of came to me in a flash, and then I was able to kind of leapfrog over some of the tapping stuff. And we'll see if we can't do that tonight. I haven't played with it with anybody else yet, but it's just a personal experience. And sometimes those personal experiences take me a while to kind of own them. But I realized once I saw the whole picture, which had to do with me seeing how and why I took it on, then I was like, wow, I don't have to do that anymore. And then I don't get angry about the circumstances I'm in because of that, because I realize I now can change it. Where before, I was really mad because I thought I was stuck in there. Because if your I am is telling you something, that means you're stuck there, period. If I have to take care of everything, I have to take care of everything because deep down, the very pulse of me is sending that out to every part of my being, right? So what I'm really getting angry about is that I have to do everything, right? But I'm projecting that out. So it's kind of a weird little mind trip.
And things come to you.
Yeah, to show me exactly that's what it is. And then I get pissed at that. Yeah, right. So like you have like the frequency for a healthy heart, a tired heart. So all of this is field of possibilities, and all of it's flying around us and in us and all the time. And it's every one of us is a wave too, because as these people come into our lives, we draw them based on this. Just like we talked about before. For example, if you've got this limiting belief like I'm unworthy of a healthy relationship because of past issues, or I'm unworthy, then what happens is you keep drawing those people to you that are going to keep proving that. The assholes that actually mesh up perfectly. Because everybody's templates, anybody that's in your life perfectly met, or you wouldn't be drawn to each other. And the crazy thing about an I am like unworthy is you'll every once in a while get somebody that shows the opposite, and you usually get rid of them because you don't match with them. They could be giving you everything and supporting you, but you can't handle it because your I am says I'm unworthy. So you have to reject that. So there's lots of layers that we play this little game in. So waveforms that interact with thought forms, that's all reality is. And if you can understand that everything is flying through us all the time, and what slows down and stops in us and then manifests in our body and in our reality are the things that we resonate with. So these negative things we resonate with, they're solidifying too. The good side is things like affirmations start helping you resonate. But here's the thing about an affirmation, and one of the reasons I don't like affirmations just by themselves. They're helpful, but imagine that let's say you're 50 years old and you had this really strong I am from like 10 years old, right? That's a 40-year monster, so to speak, right? So it's like, and then you're like occasionally going, I am wealthy. I got to work really hard to make a living. I'm wealthy. How many times are you saying that compared to this? This is going on 24/7, telling your body and projecting out the reality. So an affirmation is like throwing a pebble at Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's like, it's not going to do that much. Tapping is a way of getting through. So if you want to add power to your affirmations, at least tap them. But before that, we're going to talk about addressing the current issues, which is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Then the second 7 days is complete acceptance. When you complete acceptance, you change the charge. So basically what happens is you're no longer pulling that to you. You actually let it flow through you, or you actually repel it. So in other words, it doesn't affect you anymore. And then the last one is you start the affirmation. The last 7 days is where you start the affirmation, where you're affirming that you don't have to, whatever. So I think that covered pretty much it. One thing we're going to look at, I don't want to add that yet because I want to kind of use it in a moment. Okay. Like new job could be a vibe out here too, but you're like thinking opposite to that, so it's not going to manifest in you. It's going to be happening around people around you, which tends to make you more irritated. And then when I was kind of doing some computer stuff today, I came across these, and I thought they were pretty interesting. There's actually a couple of sites out there that are they're all the same though, so I checked quite a few of them, not every one of them, but I checked a few of them, and these are the I ams of Jesus. So I thought, what better to kind of play with? And none of these are limiting, which is cool. And that's what because these are not sins against the I am, these are actually freeing to the I am, because the things that we talk about or think about tend to be what restrict us from living life. So, and what are interesting is all these are in John. All the I ams that I saw these people refer to were in John. And the one is, I am bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the true vine. And all of those could be interpreted in slightly different ways, but basically they're all talking about something I believe we all have contact with. I like that, I'm the light of the world. Using affirmations like that, you might want to play with some of those or kind of bring power into your life. And like I said, but the thing about that is if you got another affirmation, negative affirmation that you're saying 24/7, throwing a positive one every once in a while, it'll help. But it's like a little drop in a nasty water. It's going to take a long time. And what people do with affirmations is you'll do it, and I've done this myself, so I know, is you'll do it for a while, but then it's like you start losing momentum when you don't see the change. And you don't see the change because it's a slow dilution, you know what I mean? The tapping actually speeds that up because you're moving a lot of energy. But if you address the current issue, the echoes in reality, and then go back to the acceptance, which the how and why you got it helps lead to more acceptance, and then the last part is you're affirming a new thing. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm kind of flying through this so that we can get to the tapping stuff. Did you have a question, Marcia? Okay. So, since we're getting a late start anyway, I want to go ahead and start tapping. So who wants to come up? Okay. Deborah, she hadn't been up in a while. Can I record this, Deborah, or no? It doesn't matter either way.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have to have this plugged in now, so I'll take it out. But I'll still record. I think it still goes. Let me just get up just a little bit. No, right. There's good. Okay. Deborah, what is the issue?
I've got 3.
Cool.
This right here has been turning me.
Left side. So, so just to follow along to help you learn how to use this sheet, I'm writing this in the current issue. Left shoulder. And it's the upper shoulder.
Yes, it is, and it's almost to the neck.
And into the neck.
Right.
Okay?
I fell several years ago, and when I did, I tried to catch myself, and this thumb went all the way down to here. And so I'm fine, but I was pulling weeds in my flower bed this weekend and grasping
Irritated
and
it?
going, and this is sore.
Well, I can see this joint here from that stress is quite a bit bigger than the left one, right? So we have right thumb.
Where at on your neck? In the center?
Right there. It used to be right there, but now.
Raj gets a gold star. She jumped on it first. She said lungs, so it's lungs. So one thing you could do if you're doing it for yourself is you could jump to the emotional sheet and read lungs. That's the cool thing about fingers is they kind of let you see things right away, which is grief, acceptance, and things like that.
How did she know it was lung?
Just from hearing things over and over. Thumbs are lungs.
What was the third one?
Oh, thyroid.
Thyroid.
Been taking my temperature,
Mhm.
and still low.
Okay.
I'm taking thyroid tissue, tapping,
Mhm.
doing some tapping, and the temperature's still low.
Okay. So let's play with those a little bit, and y'all throw in anything that comes up. So now we know what the current issues are, and we're starting strictly physical, right? Cool. We can do it either way. I think last week we tried to do physical, and I was lost, and we kind of just uncovered it slowly. But I think last week we really hit some deep stuff. So now let's look at the echo. So I'm saying that anything that shows up that's as an issue is an echo, right? So the left shoulder is an echo. The pain into her neck, the right thumb is an echo, and the thyroid. So let's look at these as an echo. What does the left shoulder relate to? What's the left side relate to begin with? Feminine, right? So you can write feminine down. Feminine. And what does the shoulder represent?
Responsibility.
Responsibility, but also that's, I heard somebody say burden, same thing. Well, not same thing.
Close.
The shoulder.
Tried to change it to a blessing. That's why.
Right, yeah. It's responsibility in general, but if you have a problem with your shoulder, that's when the responsibilities become a burden. Because whenever something shows up in the body negatively, it's trying to show the negative side. So even though responsibility, there's nothing wrong with responsibility, but it's when it becomes a burden that it's an issue. Right thumb. Raj already threw in that it's the. Anything else up on the left shoulder? Anybody?
My neck. Neck has to do with
It's mainly neck,
flexibility.
isn't it?
Has to do with flexibility. Does neck have to do with
Neck.
being flexible?
Okay, she's mentioned neck. The
It's
neck.
on the-
Go ahead.
It's on the back, right? It's
Yeah.
on the back.
Kind of where my hand is here.
That would be the other.
It is others. Good observation. So it's something about others. The neck. The cool thing about this is Deborah gave the little feedback here. You know the muscles that are related with the stomach? I mean, you know. It's stomach, right? That's right. Yeah. So when you're talking to somebody and they do this number, they're just kind of tilting their head or kind of doing this. They're really saying, "You shut the fuck up," because they don't want to digest what you're saying. So when you look to both sides, another component to this though is not just stomach, which is accepting things in. It's about being able to see. She did this movement, so I'm going with this. It relates to being able to see both and every side of something. So if you're limited on some way, it's like you really don't want to see that part. I don't want to see that person's side of it. Doesn't mean that person, it could be just that part of the issue. So we could say neck could be being able to stomach, which is take in, process. So there could be a resistance in processing. So if you speed this, if you speed the motion up she was doing like this, you get what? No, you get no.
No, I get dizzy.
No.
That's the no-no.
The no-no. So right thumb, what's the right?
Male.
Male. Okay, and this could be her own male energy. Doesn't have to be somebody else, but it could be. Roger already pointed out that it's the lungs, right? And that can be grief, it can be loss, and we can read the list in a little while. Anything else with the thumb? What is it related to? Remember conscious languaging? Can you remember what the thumb is? Will. It's willpower. So on the right side, it's the will directing others. Remember, on the left, the right side, it's always others. Left side, it'd be her guiding herself. So it's her using her will in reality, which could just be directing reality or directing other people. So I'm just going to put directing, and we'll see where it goes. And the thyroid, what's the echo here? So the echo is the metaphysical component to the physical, right? Y'all see that, right? So the thyroid, what's the metaphysical for the thyroid?
The voice.
Voice? Mm-hmm. The voice does what, though? Without this.
Communication.
Communication. And communication, what's the big thing about communication? What are you really doing when you communicate? You're getting your point across, right? So you're expressing yourself. And actually, without communication, we cannot evolve. Because if I had an idea, it's when we come together, like in the group like this, we're actually evolving our mind. So if communication is not there, evolution stops. It absolutely stops. That's why in relationships, when the communication stops, you can forget about the relationship growing anywhere because it's stuck. It cannot move anywhere unless there's communication going. In my experience in a relationship, when I start getting all stressed out in a relationship, usually, even if it's a bunch of purging words, like angry words, actually I feel better because things are moving. It's when that you get a problem. And I just did this motion here. And this motion here is gullibility, because stomach also relates to being gullible and swallowing what everybody else says. So, and it's this motion here when you see somebody do this a lot, it's a body language that they're really open to whatever you say. So you can hypnotize somebody like this, or you can really control them and use them in a bad way because they're too open. So I just did that motion, so I don't know if that relates. It may. We'll see.
I was just speaking to my friend last night on the phone, and we were talking about gullibility and trust. And I telling about my relationship with my former husband who died. And when we first met, or we didn't first meet, we knew each other in high school. But we started going out together. He would play tricks on me, to say this, and it was just crazy. And I would just say, I'll fall for it. And he'd say this, and he's, well, look over there, that's happening. I'm like, oh, not really. And I would fall for everything. And Jay and I were talking, and he said, well, you have a high trust factor. But I said, they called me gullible. He said, well, sometimes that's not true. Sometimes you just trust. Sometimes
When
I
you
just
said my
trust.
former husband, you weren't like.
I know, I noticed that too. Yeah, she totally did that.
But even when we were talking, she was doing that with her mouth, like.
She was doing it.
You were going like this.
Which is holding back things, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the lips come together, something's not coming out.
Exactly.
So, and it's interesting, I mentioned gullibility, and she just said she was talking about it last night. To me, that's no coincidence, right?
It's no coincidence.
So we've got that pretty much mapped out. Possible body systems, we're kind of already there, but what chakra might be related to the thyroid? Throat, right? And by relationship, what's the other chakra? Power. Very good. Roger gets 2 gold stars. Solar plexus. And solar plexus deals with what? Mostly key word for solar plexus? Personal power, right? And you cannot maintain power unless you can speak up for yourself, right?
Yes.
So that's that. thumbs relate to lungs, so that could relate to the heart chakra if you brought that in, cardiovascular. So that could be a heart chakra issue, throat chakra. We're just kind of making up, just kind of playing with what we got here for a second. We've already got lung meridian, and if you wanted to, you could be going down the sheet and circling, like we could throw in cardiovascular just because, even though she may not have a lung issue, the thumb can have. So cardiovascular, then you have the heart and the small intestine, you have the heart chakra, I circled the heart chakra. And then you can circle and play with the sheet however you want to. That's thyroid, back of the neck, that still comes into throat chakra, right? If you were looking at the chakras. Responsibility. Anything else there? Think of? Okay. So ideally what I'm going for is looking for the I am that's at the core of it. And then, as we find stuff along the way, that's good stuff to get to. But if I just address I'm tired, I haven't really addressed it all the way back. It'll get better. And my backache may go away because I've addressed that. Does that make sense? So as you kill these little satellites, things will get better because whatever waves that's sending out gets better, but you never get rid of the whole thing completely unless you get it at the heart of it. And the heart of it, I guarantee, is going to be some kind of I am. Some false perception that we were either trained into believing or we made up ourselves. And we have lots of them.
Can you give me an example of the I am? Give me an example, like when you're saying I am.
Okay. Just to say, they say that God's name is I am, right? Let's just say that's it, okay? So using God's name in vain is like I am stupid, okay? So by saying I am stupid, then you get all these other little things that are built from that. And that goes on creating. But to get the whole issue, you take out the I am stupid. Because the stupid is something that the I am is not. And to be honest, the I am cannot be anything. So there's the metaphysical component, which when you think about Buddha and everything, the absolute is zero. It is nothing. So when we assign an I am to it that's anything limiting, we've actually limited it, even in a good way. So basically the I am is completely pure. And how we label it is how we experience the reality. It's the negative ones we want to get rid of, though, right? Like I mentioned last week about, my mom kind of gave me a little bit of that offset at quite a few of my other I ams, was like not necessarily a Midas touch. I like to do that, but it was more if I could do anything that I set my mind to. There's still a little work involved in that because you have to set my mind to it. If I could do anything magically, that'd be a great one. I'd just do it. So I have to put my mind to it, but if I take the effort to put my mind to it, I can do anything. And that was programmed into me, so I'm able to do anything. So we can have positive ones, but the negative ones we want out of there. And ultimately, I say we actually eradicate them completely, but to do better, to begin with at least, you want to at least override it. So in other words, that huge Tyrannosaurus Rex becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and then your I am that you're saying instead gets stronger and stronger until that finally just dissolves. But ultimately, it's gone all completely, because any mark on the I am is a taint,
So are symptoms echoes?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything is an echo to me in the realm we're playing right now. Everything is an outcropping of the wrong I am, and it'll go back and make sense. The I am that's there is going to make sense, like all of a sudden I am responsible, makes I have to do everything. That's another mental concept.
Okay.
Then from having to do everything, I'm tired. Another thing is I'm sick and tired, right? So you're making yourself be stuck there, right? But then you're also saying, I'm sick and tired of this. Well, guess what the fuck will happen to you? Okay, you will get sick and tired. So here's the backache. But if you get rid of that I'm tired, the backache may go away, but you're still having this concept to have to do everything, which then may just have, I don't have any time for myself. So there's lots of little ways it can flower out in different ways, but it's never going to go away completely until the original sin against self, which is taking on the false I am, is healed. And once that's done, everything else is just dominoes.
Okay.
So ultimately, we fell into it last week, and so I'm not even going to try. We'll just see where it falls. And so we're looking really for the I am that all of this is based on. And since she put all three out there, I guarantee you it's all going to be based on one I am. Okay? Where are you, Marcia?
She was staring off into
You got it.
Was I?
Is this your stuff? Yes.
So I'm gonna start since she presented physical issues. I'm gonna start with those, right? And after today, she's gonna tap for 7 days on the physical, mental, emotional issues. So basically, she's tapping on the tip of the iceberg. And then the next 7 days, the following 7 and 7, she's going deeper and deeper. Okay?
I've got it already.
You do? So say it then.
I'm alone.
Okay, I can see that. I'm alone.
I'm
She
not
can't-
supported.
Not
I
supported.
feel like I'm not supported.
Okay. So if that feeling is going to outcrop from the I am, though, right? Because
Yes.
I have to draw myself is like a second program because there's no I am there, right? We're looking for the I am.
So were you just saying that's what you think the original?
Yeah, she thinks her, and once you play with this, you can find your I ams will start becoming more and more. So as the more we play with this, it's like that radio frequency. Like I'm always playing with words, and now everybody in the group plays with words. It's like when you come into somebody's frequency, you pick up that ability too. So as we play finding these I ams, which I think is really the apex of doing this work, the healing work, then all of a sudden you'll be able to start seeing your other people's I ams and yours too, which a key would be finding your own. So that may be it, and it may be something else, and it could be a dual. There could be a dual I am because we have, I'm sorry, probably hundreds of them. At least, I'd say at least 50. But we have key ones, and the key ones are the ones that sometimes other I ams kind of branch off of. So it would almost be like that. Have you ever seen like the fractal of the broccoli, where there's like, like you have this initial thing here, then it kind of flowers out and repeats, and as repeats. If you go all the way back to the original I am, it may just be one there, but you can create I ams off of the false I am. So it can get a little confusing. So my first initial feeling is that this I'm alone is an outcropping of a deeper one. Because to me it doesn't, I don't get like that. When you hear something go, it goes, meh. So it's somewhat there, but I think the I'm alone is actually an outcropping of the original one. Because I'm alone doesn't fit to me everything about the throat and everything else. So we'll see. It does fit in some way because all this relates back to relationships, but I think there's something a little bit more. We'll see how it happens. So,
When you said that I have a little sensation going around
middle finger.
middle finger,
Okay,
left
left side. Passion. Oh, in conscious languaging, it's using your God-given gifts. Huh? God-given strengths. Okay, so let's see where we go. I just let it intuitively go, and the first thing I was going to start with a physical symptom, but it's going more emotional. Although I don't have a voice, I accept myself.
I accept myself.
Although I don't have a voice, I accept myself.
I accept myself.
So I'm getting an I am here, but it's not in full focus yet. Okay, y'all can help me tune this one in, okay? We'll play with it. So as soon as I said that, what came to me is the I am that started coming to me is I am something related to voice. So it's going to be the negative side, okay? Like I'm not heard is close to what I'm going for, okay? So I'm not heard means she's going to have to be more willful in reality because she's having to come from here if she's not heard, right? Because these go together. If you don't have a strong voice, then you have to kind of push, into reality. And
My feeling is she's not hearing herself.
All the I ams. Here's the crazy thing about the I ams is the I ams go back onto ourselves. So if we have a judgment or something about somebody, in the end, since we're all connected, eventually what happens is we are creating the very problem that we are judging from somebody else. We're creating it within us. That's the catch-22. So yeah, she's doing that, but it's not the original problem. So it has to do with something. I'm going here, feeling it. It's like I get heard, not able to speak, something along that realm. But I'm looking for the I am blank. It's usually just two things. So it's not like I am, I can't talk. That's not it. But it's in that realm. I am mute is getting close. Now, isn't that funny that all of a sudden Pam has to start coughing now?
What would be that?
She wasn't coughing until we started. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Marcia.
Well,
That's not. It's not strong enough to me. It's like silent. It doesn't have a bang to me. I mean, it could be there.
You mean suffering in silence?
I don't-
Yeah, but no, we're going back. We're looking for an I
I
am.
don't know one word, but I'm just getting,
Okay.
I don't trust my voice.
I don't-
Exactly, it has something to do with her, it's not
Yeah.
other people. It's I'm not either telling myself the truth or I'm hiding something from myself.
But I guarantee you that's secondary. That's secondary to the original.
It's not like other people aren't hearing me, that I don't feel that as strong as I feel like she's not hearing herself.
Right, and that's going to be one of the outcroppings. Like, I have to do it all myself comes from my responsible, is no one hears me or whatever it is. It's going to be secondary. So we're still looking for an I am that started this, though.
Well, the thing about
Okay,
her being
okay.
gullible in that thing you told us about your former husband, that he was able to trick you, and you went like this. I took that, tell me if I'm wrong, that you didn't want to see something.
Could be because it's like seeing something coming in, that's receiving.
Or just like she didn't want to think about it, even though she was telling us.
When you were married to him, did you feel ignored? Are you
And then he
grieving?
tried to make you think you're
Ignored.
crazy.
That's it.
When you feel
Katie hit
you're
it.
ignored, then you're not heard.
That
I'm
is right.
I'm ignored. That's it. Good job, Katie.
I am ignored.
Are you grieving?
Well, I felt a
I know it was your
bunch.
ex, and I know there were
Yeah.
issues, but are you grieving him now that he's gone?
I don't think this goes exactly back to him. He's involved.
I'm going back to
It's-
her mother, actually.
Oh, I thought you said him.
I did, but
Okay.
that was still a question.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I don't feel that I am
And what?
grieving.
Grieving.
Okay.
Are
So,
you
I've been-
grieving you?
I've been doing some writing about my life,
mhm.
and I'm coming across some things that I thought were going to be easy to put down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just boom, and here it is, and I've stopped. I told myself I was going to write something every night, and then I stopped when I got to the point where I got pregnant and I wasn't married.
Mhm.
And that has been just like, oh goodness, something that I have to deal with. That I guess I didn't deal with it.
Mhm.
Okay,
I keep getting resonating.
Huh?
resign.
Resignating. Okay. That's it'd definitely be a secondary.
Was he your first, he was your first husband?
No.
He wasn't your first.
So let's go back to the I am a little bit because we haven't fully like solidified that in there. We're kind of getting off on tangents a little bit. So I'm ignored. Let's feel that out because it feels really strong, but there may be one word that fits it a little bit better because ignored is she has to, it goes back to the having to be more willful because her voice doesn't feel strong enough. That could be the thyroid being muted a little bit, right? God, I was going somewhere with that in my mind.
Not ignorant.
No. Oh, and something you mentioned recently is about in your family, what is the role you play in the family?
Oh, I'm a loud one.
Right,
You're what?
the loud one.
Oh.
And if you're ignored, what is one of the compensations that you might do? You know, what are you asking? You're saying, hey,
Here I
I'm
am.
here.
I'm here.
I'm here. Pay attention to me, right?
It is.
So that fits into the ignored.
And then whenever I was little, of course I'm
Now we're getting it.
yes, yes, because I.
It's always going to go back to little. Maybe the husband may be an outcropping of that, but it's going to go back to childhood.
Here it is. Whenever I was little, I had an older brother. He was the oldest in the family, and then I had a sister right next to him, and she was the oldest.
Okay.
And then my sister Mary, who was born in January, and I was born the next April. And then I was the baby, but I had to do things to get attention.
Right.
I got sick, played sick.
Yeah. There we go. We got it now.
That's it.
Yeah. So now you know the how and why. So you already went right straight to there, right? Why you took that on. But here's the question now. Is that still an issue now? Are you in the same exact circumstances anymore?
No.
Right. So what happens is our brain thinks we have to keep doing that because it was so ingrained to do it. It's like the hamster on the wheel. It does it, even though the circumstance doesn't match. But what we do, since we create reality, what are we going to create? We're going to create circumstances that fit the I am. That's the crazy loop there. Does that make sense? So if she's saying I'm ignored, instead of the circumstance being real, she creates a false reality to experience that. Even if people are paying attention to her, she won't be able to see it. So
That's right.
ignored feels close, but I think there's something a little bit more charged. Because I'm looking for something that when she hears it, she goes, ooh. You know, it kind of like you don't feel really comfortable when you hear it. But it's on a line of ignored and not being heard. Anybody else have
I'm
anything?
unworthy.
Shunned.
Shunned feels close. It's very close to
If
that
you feel
realm.
ignored, she would feel that she wasn't worth their attention.
Ostracized?
Was she sad?
I'm shunned. It's going to be in the shunned, ignored realm. But I am. Okay, go ahead.
I just had to do everything. I mean, like, okay.
Right.
Look at me. I got to do this.
Right.
You were
Or I was-
invisible.
Well, what was the feeling?
That's close too.
Invisible.
That's very, very close. Who said that?
I did.
Very good. So I'm invisible. Let's see if that. To me, that's actually a little higher octave than I'm ignored. I'm invisible. You know. Yeah, you got to do.
When you are pregnant,
Yes.
all of a sudden, it's all about the baby. And that's the highest point where a woman, to me, usually becomes invisible. Because when people come and talk to you, that's the first thing they say. They don't ask, how are you? Oh, she's so cute! You know, and then we go through that.
No.
Maybe.
Whenever I was pregnant,
That was just real strong for me.
when I got pregnant, I was the center of attention for my mother and my father because it was, why did you do this to me? And so here I am, doing one more thing so that I will be noticed.
I
But
think
after you had the baby,
Did you do it on
did
purpose?
you stay?
I
Did
didn't
you
do it
stay
on
the
purpose.
point of attention?
See, this is offshoot.
No.
This feels like an offshoot, though. This may be an issue, but it's like
No, that
I want to go
wasn't it.
straight back to the core of it. The core of it is that I think Katie hit it is really close. It may be like 3 little microns off, but I'm invisible. So yeah, everything in life is going to follow that, but trying to hit all those is going to take forever.
Yeah.
If you go back to the core and just pluck the fucker out of the ground, you don't have to worry about clipping all the leaves out. That's what's been taking us so long. Is we clip here, we clip here. Oh, what a nice bonsai tree! Yeah, it's so pretty. Well, I want to kill the fucker though, right? Right. So.
Well, we have to chop at it until we get to it.
Right, but if we start focusing on the I am, which is the root, we're going to
That's what we're doing
right. The
now.
progression of the evolution of the group is we're getting faster at hitting the issue. So I'm invisible is pretty close. And what's interesting is when I was saying that word to myself, indivisible came to mind too. So it's like being separated from other people. So divided, divisible. Is that a word, or am I just making stuff up?
That's a word.
Okay. So what does indivisible mean? You can't
Well,
separate.
United States is indivisible.
You can't separate, right? So,
Can't separate.
but to me, divisible is what happened. She became cut off, and then imagine if you were invisible and you're trying to get somebody's attention. You'd be doing all these, So she's making a big ruckus.
Yeah, shit.
She's making a big ruckus.
Always worked for me.
Always worked for me.
But what is she making a ruckus for? What is she trying? So she's known as the loud one in the group because that's one of these outcroppings she created. Because what we do is and it works to a certain degree. So she adapted to it, and our adaptations are okay, but they still limit us. So one of our adaptation is I'll be the loud, funny one that everybody likes to, right? Which means she can't be off though. Maybe she doesn't want to do that today, right? But that thing's going to say no. You have to be this way. So then you start fighting yourself. It's like, no, I can't even be real. That's the part you got to get rid of too.
That's part of it, because you were just with your family,
Mm-hmm.
and you realized you took on that role right away. As soon as you were there, I fell right into the role.
Yes.
So let's hit this a couple of times. And once we do this, a lot of what we're going to be doing from now on, or big from now on, we're going to try to do all that up front. And then I can't go through all the tappings to hit everything. But since that's already taken root, then I'm just going to hit a couple of points, okay? Small intestine. I go to the small intestine. And what does small intestine relate to? Yeah, the key word to small intestine is discernment. Because that's where in your body you decide what's good for you and what's bad for you. I absorb this, I'll get rid of that. So this obviously affects her ability to discern for herself. Maybe actions she wants to take, she argues with that inside herself. It's like, no, I need to do this or I'll be invisible. Because really what's that's saying too, these little things, is I don't want to be invisible. So whatever kind of story, whatever clusterfuck out here you create, it's trying to prevent you from being invisible. And it's on, and so the longer it's been there, it is on autopilot. It's its own entity. So you cannot, it's hard to jump out of that, and that's part of what we miss in the tapping is we've been missing dancing around that entity.
Is that what you recognized when you were with your family this weekend? Did you recognize that at all? That you fell into the park?
I know that it's there for me, and so
You're already starting to separate it from it, though.
at first I can and then after a while, after everybody starts going and doing and whatever, it's like, well, maybe I'll
So see, as soon as she starts feeling a little invisible, you go, oh, I'm
Well, here I am, I'm really
Yeah.
here.
let's play da-da-da.
It makes me think about when you're a kid and one of the kids like, I'm invisible. So the family starts playing along to the point that the kid starts freaking out because no one's paying. That's a little bit of the feeling I get here. It's like,
I'm really here.
I know.
Really,
Then you can see into my mind. I can see the kid just begin to like go into full blown panic because the family's taking it too far. You know what I mean? Not that they did that to you, but
Well, well, I was number 4, and she's walking good. Yeah, we knew she would. So, it's just something like that.
She's walking fine. Okay, we're done.
yeah. So she had like all these siblings before her. She was, the last one. Everybody's busy with everything else.
For 5 years, I was the baby. But nobody knew it. It was like I had to scream and say, I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Me.
So there's that voice again. So although I feel invisible,
I feel invisible.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
Although I've believed
Although I've believed
for a long time
for a long time
that I'm invisible
that I'm invisible.
and that I have to make a big mess, a big
fuss.
thank you,
And that I have to make a big fuss
to be seen or heard,
to be seen or heard.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
So the next 7 days you're going to tap on things like this, on that, plus tapping into the thyroid issue. This is one way you can do that. Although my belief that I'm invisible has blown out my thyroid, I accept myself. So that's tying the two together, right? So that she's getting it on a deep level. It feels pretty good. I'm drawn to the thymus. Although the false belief that I am invisible has been blowing out my thyroid, I accept myself. So to me, the thyroid is the echo of the root, okay? The shoulder is going to be an echo of one of the outcroppings. In other words, like a backache is going to be related to I'm tired, where the I am responsible may not cause a backache. It'll actually cause more of a... So think about it this way. This is just coming to me. Think about the I ams actually affecting the major organ endocrine working systems, and the further that it goes out, it starts to be more peripheral. So since the neck and the shoulder are not primary working organs, maybe that's the key, that's one of a peripheral. Does that make sense? I mean, that's popped in my head.
Okay, say what you said about the thyroid. The thyroid is...
Thyroid is attached to the main IM.
Okay.
So you see how this is a main endocrine gland, right? And it ties into not only your voice, but her metabolism. The adrenals attach into that, and the triple warmer, which is a meridian you want to work with. The triple warmer is your thyroid, your digestion, and your adrenals. So to me, that is a primary component. That means that's the big I am, okay? So this is an outcropping. So I'm not really going to this. We could, and you can play with that. You can tap on your shoulder pain. But if you pluck out the root, the leaves and everything that's attached to that, the shoulder being a leaf and maybe this being a leaf, that goes with it too, right? So why not just focus on pulling the whole, digging around the root and then pulling it out. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay? So, because this to me feels like it's an outcropping, like...
Keep the thing by the root and the whole thing
Yeah.
Rather than.
Have you
get
ever
out,
heard
right?
that we hold our tension in certain different places in our body? And I'm thinking maybe that's the tension, where the tension resides from that feeling.
Oh yeah, it definitely. I mean, that's why the body maps work with the muscles and everything. And remember the muscles I had y'all fill out in Your Body, Your Friend? Well, that's because they all relate back to something else. And this upper trapezius relates into the kidneys, which is fear and all these other things. You know, we can go really deep with that, but I think that's a secondary issue, or a third or a fourth issue. It's an outcropping from the original thing. So if I tap just on somebody's shoulder pain, I'm just getting a lot of ahas now. So if I'm working on someone and I'm tapping just on their shoulder pain, I'm missing the whole fucking thing. Because that's just a leaf or a limb on something. And no, I want to take the whole thing out. So go for the whole sucker. All these peripheral things, because the further you go out, right, the less it is primary to you. That's why your organs, if it's an organ or endocrine system or biochemical, that to me is going to reflect, hope I remember this later, is going to reflect being the true I am. This is just an outcropping. So I'm invisible. Let's just make it up and to make it up here to make it make sense. I'm invisible may lead to, I got to make a big focus, a fuss. Let me tie in responsible or burden. Okay, I'm invisible. Outcropping after a while. We had to start outcropping because that's how those things grow, because it grows just like a plant would. There may be even some Fibonacci sequence to it, I don't know. But anyway, it grows out from there. Like I'm invisible to, I have to like get noticed, which means I get to kind of play around and be the clown and be the loud one. But that may become a burden after a while, and the burden of being the clown
And on.
all the time. That's what throws the shoulder. But that goes back to this. Does that make sense? So we tap on that, we're only getting part of the outcropping, which means that could eventually grow back. Because if you go prune something, it's a possibility it can come back. So this is, these are lots of good ahas tonight. So the things that we've been doing is maybe we're just hitting some limbs, and those things can grow back, right? So now, with the new stuff that's coming in with this, is that we can dig the roots all up, and all the roots preferably, and pull it out, and therefore you take everything, all the patterns that relate to that. And as you're tapping for 21 days, you're going to hit a lot of those things. Because as she's tapping, maybe her awareness, because it's intuitive, ideally you're intuitively tapping, all of a sudden your attention gets onto your shoulder. Then you can say, even though my shoulder pain, you know what I mean? And you keep playing with that.
Yes, because there's a lot of things coming to me now, like if I am invisible, well, if I'm invisible, then I'm not important. I am unimportant.
Right.
And do I have a purpose? Is there a reason for me to be here if nobody sees me, nobody notices me?
Oops. I get into my right brain, I can't spell. False?
F-A-L-S-E.
Although I falsely believe I'm invisible.
Has connotations of unimportant and
Yeah.
not worthy. I think you said worthy.
Yeah, and all those are going to be all outcroppings.
This is just like disease, really, if
Yeah,
you think about it.
exactly.
Because
It starts out as a little.
well, it's just like.
Well, it is. I mean, it is disease because that's our problem.
Exactly, but like let's just say you have breast cancer, and all of a sudden you see people. Oh, well, they got it in their brain, they got it in their liver, and they got it in this, and they got it in that. It's spread. But if you take a piece of that out of the brain, it will actually be breast tissue. If you take it out of the liver, it will actually be breast tissue. So the disease or dis-ease itself spread to all these other outcroppings, but if you look at it under a microscope, it is actually the same tissue
Right.
that has done.
Which is,
Trying to find the origin.
which is a good way of looking at it.
If you
Because
take
so the I am.
the breast problem,
Right.
then all of it will go away.
So that's a good way of looking at it, because the I am would then migrate to different parts.
Right.
So the I am was really
Right.
just a mental emotional feeling. But then the cool thing about the body maps and how you can find these things is because now that we know the maps and your body, your friend, it's all about maps, is now you know the thyroid relates to being, that's how we're finding the I ams right now, is we're using the body parts as the echo, because here's the cool thing, is it's like sonar with a submarine. You find out where you are by the echo coming back, right? So we can find the I am really quick because of the echo. That's cool. So these are some possible tappings. Although I falsely believe I'm invisible, I accept myself. Some possible tappings for the second 7 days. Although I felt ignored as a child, I forgive my family. So what might be an I am that is empowering and that is opposite of I'm invisible?
I'm here, I'm heard, I'm seen.
I'm seen, I'm heard comes to mind. I'm here.
Present.
Valued.
Visible.
Yeah, visible could be too.
Well, Deborah, what do you think for you?
I don't think we hit it yet.
She's thinking.
Seen, heard. No, there's a, when you hit the right word, and sometimes when you're tapping on your own, the right word will come to you just because you're tuning into those levels. I'm seen, I'm heard. And what's another word for that? That's another way to play the I ams. Still doesn't. It's going to be related to being invisible. And love doesn't necessarily mean, a love is an out, that we don't get that. But what is the opposite of invisible?
I'm important.
Vital.
I'm important is very
That's
close.
a good word.
I'm what?
Vital.
I'm seen.
What about I'm important?
Well, I said an offshoot of invisible is that I wanted to feel important. I felt like I was unimportant to the whole family, like just, there she is. So,
But don't, just try to stick with just invisible. Give me only opposites to invisible. What are words for the opposite of invisible?
Manifest.
Visible.
Seen, visible.
Seen and what?
Notice.
Manifest.
Manifest. Seen,
I
visible.
exist.
I'm brilliant.
That's a pretty good one.
I'm awesome.
You won't.
I'm seen. I had a close one there.
Brilliantly visible.
I am noteworthy.
That actually hit me back on. I'm noticed. To me, I'm noticed is this polar opposite as you can get to I'm invisible, right? Because that's what she's wanting, is to be noticed. What's another word for noticed? Because the word noticed is it. So all I do is use your vocabulary and find words that are similar. And I'm looking for a chart. So I'm noticed is an okay, we're close, but I want a word that's like noticed. I am, and it's seen, and noticed is more powerful to me than seen. Huh?
Worthy.
No, because to me, we keep going back to worthy, but to me that's not the main issue here. It's an outcropping from that. So give me only things that relate to being noticed. Words like noticed.
I am noticeably important. That's pretty good. It's a little long, but.
it's 2 words. We need one.
If somebody feels unnoticed, they probably feel unwanted.
Unvalued.
Unwanted.
Abandoned.
Here's a few here. Seen, observed, perceived, noted, discerned, detected, remarked, spotted, cited. All those are lame.
So that you feel that this has to do with your whole family, not so much with your parents.
No, it's my parents, my mother. I don't believe my mother wanted me.
Right, that's kind of what I was suspecting.
So to me, I'm important.
Appreciate.
Appreciate is close. So there's lots of
I
different.
am want.
I like important.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, she's got to go with that. So there's a couple here that she can play with, but I'm important stands out for her.
It does.
So. Well, let's leave it at that, okay? So in these new sessions, I can't tap all the way through because there's so much we're doing. But we're doing all the deep work, though, you know what I mean? So now you can take this, and these are just ideas of the tapping. You intuitively
Yes.
tune into it.
Yes.
But at the very end, the last 7 days is when you're tapping in the new thing. Like, I am important. You can do all these. I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm important, I'm no. You can do all those if you wanted to. But ideally, I think you want to try to keep it on the ones that important stands out to you.
It
What'd
does.
you come up with the second one? The seven days?
I felt ignored as a child. Although I felt ignored as a child, I forgive my family. Or you can even be specific, my mother, father. Or simply, it could be simply, I forgive my mother and father for ignoring me as a child. There's
That's
lots.
a good one.
That's
That's
just
a
a
good
lot of
one.
different ways of doing it.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome. So let's do another. Or did anybody want to talk about that? So you have to remind me to talk. Next!
The good thing about it is, my husband, my second husband, he's the same way, so he had to have all the attention, so I just said, go ahead and shut up.
So and what happens is she self-prophesied. She self-filled her prophecy, right? She became invisible in the marriage, right?
Yes, I did.
Right. So there you created it again. So cool to notice it. Any ideas or thoughts on that process we did with Deborah?
I like it. Straight to the source.
Yeah.
Straight from the source. All right. Anybody have their time for one more?
Can we do my daughter through me?
Possibly. We can try for jollies.
Or, I've had a great shift
Uh-huh.
in the way I think. And I've had such relief from pain in my right knee, which has been going on for a long time. Moving forward, not living up to other people's expectations is the main thing there. Making enough time for myself, because in the quickening, I need more time to do. I'm trying to work on not having a positive or a negative charge on issues that have been disrupted
Okay.
or a catalyst to keep me going in the right direction. I had, lots of tension here, and I will share with you, even though it's a little embarrassing, but hey, what the heck. Okay. While we were gone to Mountain View, Arkansas, my mother-in-law was having some problems. And so I kind of figured out what it was, how was it related to me, and worked through some of those issues. Well, one of the things that came up, before you go to sleep at night, if you want to work on something, then you tell yourself, okay, here's the issue. And the issue was, go back far enough in the line of the Cherokee people. And it's in relationship to the Trail of Tears, because I thought at that time that was a connection to me of having this pain here of, it's like one of those, if somebody's going to backhand you, you miss.
Mhm.
And I worked through the things that I thought were relative to that in my life, doing the tapping and going through that. So that evening, usually, because we both snore, my husband and I, we sleep in separate rooms. Just so, because it's too hard to try to fall asleep before the other one, and then they start, and, it's just nobody gets any rest. So that weekend or week that we were there, the few days we were there, we always stay in the same bedroom, same bed, unless it gets to where he's, snoring too badly, and then I'll go into the other room. Well, when I was trying to get to, is I stayed in the room, and apparently I was dreaming, and I had said to myself, how can we go back genetically, DNA-wise, to go back to the time when we did not feel this immense sadness?
You said this out loud when you were asleep dreaming?
Well, no, before I went to sleep.
Before you-
I said, I want to get rid of this immense sadness I have, because every time I would teach about, in school, about the Trail of Tears, I'd get all angry at the administration of the country at that time. And it was just a really emotional charge. So that evening, apparently I had a dream, and he was awake to tell me, he says, I don't know what you were doing last night, but it was like you were trying to snore, you were going like that, but then you would go like that. And I said, well, it could be that, that was one of the ways of pushing out things that I no longer need, and that maybe in the astral plane or in my dreams, I was doing that. And he said, or you were making love to a bear. I said, I probably was a shapeshifter at one time, so maybe it was. But really, I felt great relief from the sadness from that. So I've had, y'all must have been doing some great work while I was gone, because the ripple effect has definitely washed up for me. My daughter was in a car wreck Saturday, and she had pulled out onto the street thinking that the SUV, there was nobody behind it, but surprise, no, there was a big truck behind it. And so she's T-boned, everybody's okay, but I'm thinking, usually here's the big slap, a car wreck, and she's under, duress. She's going to law school, first year. And of course, we're not there with her, kind of thing. We're a very close family. So I'm wondering if that humongous big bruise on her left side has something to do with a feminine issue. And then there's the great big bruise here and here. Of course, I know, just the act of the car wreck itself, you're going to have that. It seems like there's something to it. And thank you. They are all okay. And it could, he was traveling at 40 miles an hour. So it was like she was wrapped in the consciousness to keep her here, because that would have not worked out for me.
As a mother, I can relate.
Right? So I'm so thankful that, she is here with me. I went to see her. We got to do, talking about things, and we aired out a few things about the year that hadn't come to pass. And that, well, here we are. What do we do now? So let's go on from here. So that's where I am.
Okay.
I
I thought there was something you posted on Facebook.
Yes.
About.
She's
Yes, and then that's the other thing.
Yeah. That's the big thing, I think.
The big thing is when she had all these
X-rays.
X-rays and CT and things, the doctor called back and said, when you get a follow-up, there seems to be a cyst in the upper left portion of the stomach. Now, I already have a zipper from here to here from having a cyst removed. So I'm wondering, or I'm thinking, if we send out the intent that it be absorbed and then released, that would be much more helpful than for the doctors to go in there and come around and do
You don't think maybe the wreck was so that would be noticed?
Yes, and that
Totally.
definitely. I'm thinking that's part of it, or maybe it's the whole.
The what?
So I'm just, the whole, W-H-O-L-E, the whole. But wait, there's more, right?
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding, but the whole, like you said, there were like little satellites.
Yeah.
Well, we got left side of the bruise and left other side of the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then she has a concussion. She had a big knot here, and that's ridiculous.
Left side
It was
again.
going out, and it's left side again. So,
Blindsided came to me. And that, of course, that can be looked at metaphysically too. Stomach relates to what typically? We're just going to look at the echo now and see if we can trace it back. Huh?
Digesting.
Digesting. Also relates to worry, anxiety, too much to handle.
But then there's the cyst on the stomach?
Right.
They don't know for sure. It's one of those things, there's something there, but that's what he said, in the area of the
Looks
stomach.
like a cyst. Oh, okay.
So it could maybe be an ulcer too. Ulcer would be more of what emotion do you think? Anxiety. So you're worrying something way too much, right?
Well, she's in a situation now. My daughter did not make a B until she was in junior high, and she cried over having that first B, and it was in her strings class. So it was related to music. She's not the top person in her class. Like she was number 9 out of 10.
Perfectionism.
In Old High. She was also the brigade commander of all the high schools for the JROTC program. So she's got discipline, she's got smart, she's got drive. But I think maybe she's just worrying herself because her grades are not as high as what she would like for them to be, and she sees everybody else is so much farther above her. Little frog being pond.
Yeah, this is a new level for her to step up to.
But like this, the professors keep coming and says, "Hello, you're in law school."
Is this her first year?
This is her first year.
Sure, so there's adjustment right there that she's got to make too.
Yeah, and a new, she got rejected by the university. She got her bachelor's and she didn't, they put her on a waiting list at UT. But she got offers from 4 or 5 other places and she picked OU, or we kind of picked it together.
So back to the cyst. If an ulcer relates to anxiety, worry, it's like too much in there. What emotion may a cyst be related to?
Storing anger?
Exactly. It's a fist. So there could be some anger stuffed down, swallowed down. And anger could be the rejection of the school. Simple as that.
This take time to form though, so it seems like it would have done something before that. Well, I don't know. I'm
It's
assuming
a year
they
though,
take,
right?
I'm assuming they take
For a
time.
year.
For a year, yeah.
So
This is the last week of school and then finals.
it would, yeah, it can form in a year.
So it's in the anticipation of it.
Well, I know my sister, I was so much less angry once it was removed. Which, I said, it was all stored in
So
the amber.
if Raj had a cyst too, that might indicate what? An old pattern coming through.
Patterns from family.
And what is it? What is a genetic pattern really? Right. But what does the template come from?
And I am.
And I'm just going for mind. So it's not really it's a genetic pattern, but the genetic pattern comes from a particular template or thinking pattern, right? So if there's a pattern there, you would want to address that too, which could be related back to an IM. Like, for example, one that might fit that is, I'm thinking of the compensation, is I have to work really hard. So I have to work really hard. So it's coming from an IHAM, you know what I mean? Which would make you stress and push. I don't know. Anybody else's thoughts on that?
It's having to do with the stress of graduate or in the school for the semester, for the year.
Right.
Also, because of a lot of, and what you're going to do for the future.
Right.
Yeah, plus she's trying to find something to do this summer that has to do with immigration law. She didn't know if she would pay for it or not.
Mhm.
This is the first time we've had to borrow money, or she's had to borrow money, so she'll have student loans, because everything else was on scholarship.
Yeah.
So all that kind of speaks to me as too much on your plate, way too much, and that's one of the things about stomach, too much on your plate related to stomach, eating. It's like all this stuff is hitting her in the face all at once.
Even
And it-
having the accident itself is going to force her to stop or slow down for a little bit.
Right. And I think that's the blindsided part. And what's interesting is instead of that moving through her, it stopped. So the bruise here indicates that she's not receiving what she needs to. Because a force can, if everything's an energy wave, then remember I said things are moving through us all the time. So if somebody's negativity is coming at you, if you don't have a charge on it, it gets to go right through you, right? It's like, which means basically you didn't get set off and it didn't affect you, right? So that impact hit her in such a way because there was something that it had to hit. If you think about reality being not so solid, is that accident showed that she's got some resistance to something. I don't know, I'm not getting a bunch of reads on her, maybe just because she's not present. I think with this one we'll just do like our usual like long distance little circle